Take a moment and notice how often your state changes throughout the day. One moment you feel confident, clear, and aligned with your goals. Everything feels possible. Your mind is calm and your direction feels certain. But then something small happens. A delay, a message, a thought, or even a memory. And suddenly that state begins to shift. Doubt appears. Uncertainty creeps in. The clarity you once felt starts to fade. This is where most people lose their power, not because they do not know what they want, but because they cannot remain in the state of having it. They enter the desired state for a moment. They feel it, they imagine it, they even believe it, but they do not stay there. They fall back into old patterns, old emotions, and old ways of thinking. And each time they leave that state, they reset the process. What most people do not realize is that your life does not respond to what you want occasionally. It responds to who you are consistently. Your state is not something you visit. It is something you live from. So the real question is not how to enter your desired state. The real question is how to never leave it. Because the moment your state becomes stable, your reality begins to reflect that stability. This is not about forcing yourself to feel positive all the time. It is about understanding the mechanics of your mind, your attention, and your identity. Once you understand this, staying in your desired state no longer feels like effort. It becomes natural. And when it becomes natural, everything begins to change. Why you keep leaving the desired state, the first step to never leaving your desired state is understanding why you keep leaving it in the first place. Most people assume that external situations are the cause. They believe that circumstances, people, or unexpected events pull them out of alignment. But this is only partially true. The real cause lies deeper, within your internal patterns. Your mind is conditioned by repetition. Your mind is conditioned by repetition. Over time, you have developed habitual ways of thinking, feeling, and reacting. These patterns operate automatically, often without your awareness. So even when you intentionally enter a desired state, those old patterns remain active beneath the surface. At first, everything feels aligned. You feel confident, focused, and certain. But then something triggers an old pattern. It could be a thought of doubt, a memory of past failure, or a fear of uncertainty. The moment that pattern activates, your attention shifts, and wherever your attention goes, your state follows. This is why it feels like you suddenly lost your state. In reality, you did not lose it. You simply shifted your attention back to something familiar. Another reason people leave their desired state is because they treat it as something temporary. They enter it during specific moments, such as meditation, visualization, or motivation. But outside of those moments, they return to their default way of thinking. This creates a gap between who they are trying to be and who they consistently are. Your desired state cannot compete with a deeply ingrained identity. If you still see yourself as someone who struggles, doubts, or lacks, that identity will eventually pull you back, no matter how strong your temporary state feels. This is not a failure. It is simply how the mind works. Understanding this removes frustration. It shows you that the problem is not your effort, but your consistency. And once you see that clearly, you can begin to change it. Stabilizing your state through awareness. To remain in your desired state, you must develop awareness of your inner world. Awareness is what allows you to notice when your attention begins to drift. Without it, you are simply reacting to thoughts and emotions as they arise. With it, you gain the ability to observe and redirect. Think of your state as something that is maintained by where you place your focus. When your focus aligns with your desired identity, your state remains stable. When it shifts toward doubt, fear, or lack, your state begins to change. The key is not to eliminate negative thoughts, but to stop following them. Thoughts will arise automatically. Some will support your desired state and others will not. This is normal. The difference lies in what you choose to engage with. When a thought appears that does not align with your desired state, you do not need to fight it or suppress it. You simply notice it and return your focus to what aligns with who you choose to be. This process may seem simple, but it requires consistency. At first, you may find yourself drifting frequently. Your attention may move back and forth between alignment and old patterns. But each time you bring it back, you are strengthening a new habit. Over time, this habit becomes more natural. Your mind begins to default to your desired state rather than your old one. Another important aspect of stabilization is emotional acceptance. Many people leave their desired state because they resist certain emotions. When discomfort arises, they interpret it as a sign that something is wrong. This reaction pulls them out of alignment. Instead, allow emotions to exist without attaching meaning to them. An emotion is simply a temporary experience. It does not define your state unless you give it that power. By combining awareness with acceptance, you create a stable foundation. Your state is no longer dependent on perfect conditions. It becomes something you can maintain regardless of what you experience. Becoming the state as your identity, the final step to never leaving your desired state, is to stop seeing it as something separate from you. As long as your desired state feels like something you are trying to maintain, it will require effort. Effort creates tension, and tension makes it difficult to sustain. Instead, your desired state must become your identity. This means shifting from, "I am trying to be this way," to "This is who I am." Identity is powerful because it operates automatically. You do not need to remind yourself of who you are. You simply act, think, and feel in ways that are consistent with that identity. To make this shift, you must repeatedly embody your desired state in your daily life, not just in specific moments, but in ordinary situations. How do you think when things are uncertain? How do you respond when challenges arise? How do you carry yourself when no one is watching? These small moments are where identity is formed. Each time you choose to respond from your desired state, you reinforce it. Each time you fall back into old patterns, you reinforce those instead. The goal is not perfection, it is consistency. As this consistency builds, something changes. Your desired state no longer feels like something you are holding on to. It feels natural. It feels stable. It feels like you. At this point, external circumstances lose their ability to control your state. You are no longer reacting to life. You are responding from a place that remains steady, regardless of what happens. This is what it means to never leave your desired state. It is not about controlling every thought or emotion. It is about becoming someone whose default way of being aligns with what they desire. You do not lose your desired state because it is weak. You lose it because your attention and identity are not yet aligned with it consistently. Once you understand this, everything becomes simpler. You stop trying to force yourself into a state, and you begin to build it naturally through awareness, focus, and repetition. You learn to notice when your attention drifts and gently bring it back. You allow emotions without letting them define you. And most importantly, you begin to see your desired state not as something you visit, but as who you are. Over time, this becomes effortless. Your state stabilizes, your reactions change, your confidence grows, and eventually you reach a point where leaving your desired state no longer feels natural. Staying in it does. So the next time you feel yourself slipping, do not react with frustration. Simply notice it, return your focus, and remind yourself of who you are choosing to be. Because your power has never been in entering the state. Your power has always been in remaining there.